guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. On today's video we're going to be talking about the do's and don'ts of scuba diving. The do is make sure you always constantly breathe underwater. You always want to make sure you breathe. Make sure you always keep a check on your air supply to see how much air you have left in the cylinder. And always make sure the equipment, make sure you check your cylinder after every fill-up, and that's very important because you don't want to, and we get to the don'ts after this part, after we do the do's. Do make sure you inspect your gear after every, or before the dive actually, before the dive, like if it's even like a month before you went diving, and make sure you check your gear before the dive. If you have, and make sure you always plan the dives out. And also too, make sure you dive within your element, or what you feel comfortable in diving in, because you don't want, we'll get to that in a minute on the don'ts. Number one thing we got to do too, make sure you equalize on the way down. Yep, because that's very important to equalize on the way down. See, I've been diving for 4 years, so, but basically you want to make sure you equalize on the way down. So that's what I'm saying, make sure you do that. Now the don'ts, and also do make sure you stay within your depth. And now for the don'ts is never hold your breath underwater. Never do that. And never ever be pressured in going below your depth, because a lot of times they'll try to get you to go below your depth. Don't. If you feel comfortable, now I've been down to 48. 48, 49, 50. I've been down to 50 feet. But that's because I felt comfortable in doing it. But if you don't feel comfortable in doing it, then don't. Stay within your element. Stay within your depth. You can stay within your depth. Like if you're comfortable at 48, stay at 48. If you're comfortable at 45, stay at 45. But stay within your limit. If you feel comfortable going below that, but make sure you feel comfortable in doing it. Don't feel like you have to be like peer pressured and saying, well, oh, you're gonna go down 50 feet with us. No, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, tell them, hey, look, I only feel comfortable at 48 or 49 or whatever depth you're going to, and to also too, make sure that you but don't dive if you have less than 1,000 psi left, and because a lot of times they'll go down with like 500 psi, and that's not good. That's why I always try to make sure you stay above 1,000. That's a don't. Don't dive unless you have 1,000 or above. From 1,000 on up. And 2, make sure that when you fill the cylinder, make sure that it stays at the 3,000 psi and not over. Make sure it doesn't go over 3,000, because most of our cylinders, on the ones that I showed you in the previous, in the previous video, those can only go up 3,000. So make sure you check it, and also too, don't forget to check it after every fill up. I do. I check mine after every fill up. Don't forget to do that. Don't be afraid to keep checking it after every fill up. At that time you get it filled, check it again. I do it. I check it after every fill up, because you want to make sure you keep rechecking it and that, and don't forget to do the safety stops either. Don't come up too fast, and make sure you equalize on the way up, and you just go like this, and the ears will pop. That is the equalization. And a lot of times, some of the new divers, sometimes they don't do that. And don't be afraid either that if you have a problem equalizing, don't be afraid to go, tap your dive buddy and say, hey, I have a problem with my ears not clearing. Yeah, because that's the number one factor that you have to do. But don't push it. If you can't equalize, do not push it. Do not go down if you can't equalize. If you can't equalize, come up, try it another day. But do not, because a lot of times they'll just go down, and it can damage your eardrums. So yeah, that's on the don't side of it. Do not, that's the don'ts. Do not be afraid to tell a dive buddy, I'm be a dive buddy or instructor. Don't be afraid to tell them, hey, look, I'm having trouble equalizing, and then that way, but then you can come up a little bit, and then try it, and then try to go back down. But if it still doesn't do it, then come out of the water and try it another day. But and also make sure that, and don't share. You can't if you have a dive computer, don't try to put it under one log. Make sure you have your own dive computer, and do not try to, don't try to use one dive computer, because it won't work. Make sure you have your own dive computer, so then that way you can use your own dive computer instead of your dive buddies. Don't try to keep it on one. Don't try doing that. So those are the do's and don'ts. Do make sure that the equipment's up to snuff. Have it inspected. If you don't think that something's right, then don't dive. If you think that something's wrong with the equipment, don't dive. If you think that, because I had an incident once when I started back in 2017, I had an incident where the dive computer that we were using, it was acting up. It was saying that I was at 900 feet and I wasn't. I was still on shore. So yeah, that can happen. So you want to make sure that you get that checked. You want to make sure that everything's up to snuff before you dive. You make sure if you have dive computer or anything, like if it's the cylinder, have it inspected. If it's a regulator, and you think there might be something wrong with it, I have it inspected before the dive. So that way you're covered, and that way nothing happens. That way you know that it's been inspected and it's going to work. So then that way you know. But yeah, those are those are the do's and don'ts of scuba diving. Do make sure you breathe consistently, and never ever hold your breath underwater. Don't sit there going like, because if you do that, you have what we call lung overexpansion, which means you can end up in the hyperbaric chamber, or you know, you can end up dead. So please do not. Make sure that you get the proper training. You can call my buddy over at PDR, and you can get training. You can get classes. Talk to the dive shop. You can talk to my buddy over at PDR, who's the owner of PDR. You can talk to you can talk to him. It was just, Steve. You can talk to PDR, and you can get training there. Just make sure that you get the proper training before going diving. So then that way you're covered, and that way, because it's not as easy as it looks. And I know we had that discussion before, but this time it's like, yeah. So make sure you get the proper training before you even, make sure you get the proper training. Make sure you try it before, make sure you go to the dive tank and try it before you do it. That way to see if you like it first, and then do it. So that way you know if it's even worth it. But which it is. I mean, it's worth it. Once you do it, you love it. I remember that for 4 years now, and believe me, I love it. So yeah, just make sure that do make sure you do breathe consistently, and never ever hold your breath, and make sure you don't over make sure you don't go too fast, because when you're swimming, make sure you don't go too fast. A lot of times I'm trying to go too fast, and they end up getting in over exertion, or they get they get tired real quick. So make sure you pace yourself. Make sure you pace yourself underwater. Make sure you don't overdo it. And make sure that now earplugs will not work underwater, because the ears need to have space. So make sure you do not use any earplugs, and definitely do not use any nose piece that goes up in the heel like this. Don't use any nose piece. I like it sometimes used in the pool. Don't do that because it will bother your equalization. Your equalization, because you have to equalize, and you have to keep the nose cleared. So that way when you do it, you do it like this and like that, or you can wiggle your jaw, or you can yawn and it will pop, and like that. There's a lot of ways that it does it. Well, that'd be all for now. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on those post notifications. Let me don't miss a single upload. And I will catch you in the next one.